Hello, my name is Juliette Grayson and I'm a psychotherapist who specialises in sex and relationship problems. I'm also the chair of a charity called StopSO, the Specialist Treatment Organisation for the Prevention of Sexual Offending. A group of colleagues and I were talking about the amount of sexual abuse that is happening in the UK. It's a devastating figure. And we were also being approached by people who were asking us for help to stop. The first person who approached me was a guy who had been making obscene telephone calls, and he knew what he was doing was wrong, and he'd been to 3 therapists and had very bad reactions from all of them. So it was brave of him to try a 4th therapist to try and get help. And he and I worked for a couple of years together, and with really beneficial effects. So when my colleagues started to talk to me about maybe the solution to the problem of sexual offending in the UK would be to work upstream with the perpetrators, I could really see the benefit of that. So we decided that if we set up StopSO, we could train already qualified professional therapists all across the UK. We could give them specialist training to work with this client group so that people who are worried about their sexual behaviour or worried about troubling thoughts and fear that they're going to commit a sexual offence can contact, through StopSO, a therapist who they know will be open to working with them, because not all therapists want to work with this client group. So we have more than 200 people who are either already trained to work with StopSO or they're in training at the moment, all across the UK, and so far we've helped over 425 people. Just think of the number of victims of sexual abuse who haven't been created because of the work that those therapists have done with those 425 people. I think that's amazing. And the consequences of sexual abuse are so devastating for everyone involved that we have to work to stop people becoming victims. And the best way to do that is to work with perpetrators. And what's fascinating is that perpetrators are contacting us asking for help to stop. So there's a demand for this. And 38% of the people who are coming to us haven't come to the attention of the police or social services. So that means that not only are we preventing re-offending, but we're also preventing the first offence from happening in some instances. And another thing to think about is the financial cost. For every person who goes to prison for 1 year, it costs £65,000. That's the cost of putting them in prison, the police costs, the court costs, and the actual cost of them being in prison. So if just a quarter of those 425 people would have gone to prison but haven't, then we've saved the country almost £7 million. That's huge. The number of victims who haven't been created and the amount of money that we're saving is immense. And what we know from the therapists who are doing the work is that this approach is working. By offering therapy within the community, within a few days of someone contacting us and asking for help, we're able to start the process of therapy that helps them to stop or to never act out. But we have a big problem at the moment. We're coming towards the end of January 2017 and StopSO only has enough money to keep going for 4 more weeks. So we have a major funding crisis and we need your help. We need £3,500. That's the bare minimum we need just to be able to keep functioning for the next 3 months. That will pay the salary of our 1 member of staff. What would be more helpful would be to get £80,000. That would keep us going for a year. That would allow us to run training courses for our therapists, advertise and market our services so that more of the general public know that we exist and more perpetrators can find their way to us, and help us make improvements to the website, as well as pay the salary for our 1 member of staff that we employ. In an ideal world, we'd have about 200,000 to keep us going for the next 12 months, and that would really allow us to expand our operations, which is needed. Ultimately, our aim is to provide subsidised therapy so that anybody who is a potential or actual perpetrator of sexual offences, who feels like they may act out, can access therapy, and even if they can't afford it, we can subsidise that and make it possible for them to get the help that they need to stop. The whole purpose of this is as a child protection strategy to stop and reduce sexual offending in the UK. And your donation will ensure that people who contact StopSO are able to continue receiving the help that they need, preventing victims, preventing the emotional cost to society, and also the financial cost to society. And for that, we are incredibly grateful. So thank you for your time watching this video, and thank you for your support.